Okay. Yes, good morning, guys. I hope you guys are doing good. Um, okay, so let us continue our discussion. We'll wait for 1 or 2 minutes, so that a few more guys can join the session. Okay, guys, let us continue. Okay, students are joining. Let us continue. Guys, last class we discussed about the what do you call- somebody is on the line, so uh, we're discussing about the data transfer instruction. In that, we discussed move instruction. Okay, so we discussed three instructions. Move instruction. Okay, so one is move. Oh, sorry, this is okay. So one is move instruction, mov. Okay, the other one was move x. Move x is for the external memory. Move x, and as a part of index addressing mode. Okay, we have discussed what is known as a move C instruction. Move C instruction. Okay, yeah, yeah. There are a few more, what do you call data transfer instruction. that we'll discuss now. Okay, guys, before we continue, observe this diagram, guys. This diagram explains which instruction is used for which memory. This clearly depicts which instruction for which memory. Okay, so there are basically three types of memory shown here. One is the internal RAM space. Somebody is on the line. Okay, so one is the internal RAM space. Other one is the external RAM space. That is, if external memory is interfaced. Okay, assuming that external memory is interfaced, there is a external memory. Okay. Okay. There is a external memory, and there can be ROM memory. See, this is the external RAM memory. Similarly, there can be ROM memory. That can be both internal or external memory. Okay. Why it is shown like this? Why not it is shown separately? One for the internal. No, just a second. Somebody is on the line. Okay. So one for the internal ROM memory, and another for the external ROM memory. Why not? You know, this we'll discuss a little later. Okay, why it is so? I'll come to this point. Okay. And other than this, there is this internal RAM memory can also be registers. That is, special function registers. It can also be register bank registers. That's how it is. Okay. Okay. So how to access internal? Is this okay? Yeah. Okay. Is what you see this arrow? You know, this is the bus. Generally, it's called as a bus. That is, it includes both the address bus as well as data bus. It includes both the address bus as well as data bus. Somebody's on the line. Just a second. Yeah. Address bus. Okay. Address bus as well as data bus. Okay. It will be separated by the processor. We'll not go into that detail anyway. Okay. So. Okay, so the internal memory, there is internal RAM space is accessed using move instruction. You can observe that here. Okay, using various addressing mode. It can be register addressing mode, or it can be what you call register indirect addressing mode, or it can be a direct addressing mode. Internal RAM memory is accessed using move instruction. Okay, fine. Okay, and external RAM memory. RAM, not ROM. External RAM memory is accessed using MOVX instruction. Is accessed using MOVX instruction. Okay, fine. But to access external ROM memory, there are two methods. I'll show this today. Okay, I'll show execute and I'll show you. Okay. External RAM, generally in the beginning we have understood that a DPTR register, which is 16-bit in size, it is used to access the external RAM memory. External memory in general, we understood that it is used to access the external memory. But other than DPTR, we can also access external memory using R0 and R1 using indirect addressing mode. That is at R0, at R1, at R1. What is the difference? Let us understand now. Let us understand now only. Okay. So generally, when we discuss about external memory, first thing which comes to our mind is DPTR, that is data pointer register, which is 16-bit in size. 16-bit in size. And to access external memory, we use instruction called as MOVX. Okay, MOVX. MOVX. Okay. So what are the different possible instruction is like MOVX A comma at DPTR Okay, that is when external memory is the source. Okay, so that external memory is accessed using the DPTR register. There is external memory address is stored in DPTR, and that location is accessed using register indirect addressing mode. Okay, and we have discussed in detail also that for external memory access, it cannot be any other addressing mode other than the register indirect addressing mode that we have discussed in our class. If you have any doubt, you can go back to that video which I shared in YouTube. You can look into that, no problem. Okay. And the other possibility is that the external memory can also be the destination. Okay, that means we are transferring the data between. Let's observe here. Our goal is to transfer the data between internal RAM memory to external RAM memory, or from external RAM memory to internal RAM memory. When we say internal RAM memory, we mean to say accumulator register. Okay. Generally, we don't use any other register. But other possibility other than accumulator is that B register. Actually, we can do this also. Sometimes this also works. It depends on sometimes compiler, of course, no doubt. But this also works. This I'll show you. Okay, this also will execute and we'll see. Move B dptr. Sometimes this also works. Okay, no problem. Okay, so in this case, external memory is the source. External memory location is the source. What is the other possibility is that external memory is the destination. So what is the instruction, guys? If it is external memory is the destination, then it will be move x. Very important. Otherwise, compiler says no, wrong. Okay, move x at dptr, comma a, or it can be b. No problem. It can be a b. Sometimes even compiler accepts b also as one of the register as part of the external memory access. Okay, fine. So this external memory access is done using a DPTR register, which is 16-bit in size. Because it is 16-bit in size, maximum number of locations it can access is, of course, 2 power 16. 2 power 16 corresponds to 65,536 number of locations, and each location can store 8 bit of data. Each location can store 8 bit of data. Guys, okay, fine. Other possibility is that I'll erase all this thing now. Other possibility is that instead of DPTR, we can also use two registers, that is R0 and R1, because external memory has to be accessed using indirect register, indirect memory addressing only. Somebody is on the line. Yeah, so we can access external memory, memory using indirect addressing mode only, register indirect addressing addressing mode, register indirect addressing mode. Okay, so thereby indirect addressing mode is possible only using two registers, that is what you call it's just somebody's on the line. Okay, so using only two registers, that is that is R0 and R1. Okay, so we can use external memory access. Oh, somebody's on the line. Yes. Okay, so we can access external memory using two registers, R0 and R1. Okay, the instruction remains the same. Move x. Okay, move x. For example, a comma at R0, at R0 or at R1. We can use at R0 or at R1. Sorry, extremely sorry. My mouse, I'm not able to comfortably move the mouse. I don't know what is the issue with the. Okay, move at R0 or at R1. Move R0 at R1. Okay. The other possibility is that move x at R0 or at R1. Okay, at R1, comma A or B. A or B. Here also it is either A or B. Okay. Okay. Yes, these two are the instruction for external memory access. How do we know? How does the compiler knows it is external memory access? Because there is a X in the move X instruction. Okay. In the absence of X, for example, if you write instruction like, let me use some other color, maybe just to make out the difference. Let us say the instruction is move A or B at R0 or R1, one possibility. The other possibility is that, okay, other possibility is that move at R0 or at R1. Somebody is on the line. Okay. Okay. So move at R0 or at R1, A comma A or B. A or B. Okay. Because if you observe the difference, between these two instructions, these two set of instructions, and let us say these two set of instructions, the difference is that only difference what you find, guys, X. X is present in these two instruction. X is absent in these two instruction. X is absent in these two instruction. Okay. So whenever X is present, microcontroller will access external memory whose address is stored in either R0 or R1. Okay. If X is not present, microcontroller will access internal memory whose address is stored in R0 or R1. That means the role of R0, R1 in all these cases, it is used as a pointer. To which memory it points, either it will point to external memory or it will point to internal memory. That depends on this X factor. If X is part of the instruction, move instruction, then the location accessed will be external memory. location accessed is external memory. If X is not there in the instruction, the location accessed will be internal memory. Location accessed will be internal RAM space. So we should be more specific. It is internal RAM space. When I say internal RAM space, it is only general purpose registers, not the special function registers. It is only general purpose registers. Okay, now what we have to understand is what is the difference between accessing external memory using R0, R1 or using the DPTR instruction. That we'll understand now. Okay, let us look at let us, or somebody is on the line, just a second. Okay, yeah, let us understand that now. Okay, yeah, here we go. Okay, now I'll okay, so let us say external memory. Okay, guess what is the this I'll hide this and I'll share okay, I'll move it somewhere here. Okay, so that I'll have sufficient space to write. Okay, guess let us say external memory. I don't think so it will be this awkward anyway, for discussion purpose. Okay, so this is external memory. Okay, guess what is the address size of the address size of external memory? Guess address size is 16-bit. Okay, this we already know. The 2 power 16 gives total number of locations as 65,536. Okay, that means there are 65,536 number of locations in the external memory. Okay, that means address will start from 0000. Okay, extremely sorry for this. This I don't know how to get rid of this this toolbox. I'm not interested in this, but okay. Anyway, I think I need to check in the settings. I'll do that. Okay, 0000. Okay, first location and the last location address is FFH. This we have discussed in external memory. We have discussed in detail. No problem. FFH. Okay, and each location can store 8-bit of data, and each location can store maximum of 8-bit of data. 8-bit of data. Okay, fine. So now what happens is that if DPTR is used, DPTR is used to access the external memory. How does it work, guys? Let us say there's one location called as location address called as 1234, for example. The address is 1234H, for example. Okay. So first, what we do is we transfer this 1234 into DPTR, and we use DPTR as a register indirect addressing mode using the instruction. Let us say, for example, move, a comma, sorry, move x, I'm sorry, okay, move x a comma at DPTR. This on this mouse, at DPTR. Vice versa. I mean, this is the source location. The same thing applies to destination location. Move x at DPTR comma a, for example. DPTR comma a. In either of these two locations, DPTR is pointing to this particular location. That is 1234H. 1234H, because address is always hexadecimal in hexadecimal format, hexadecimal addressing mode. Okay, fine. So using DPTR, since its size of DPTR is 16-bit, it can access any location starting from 0000 up to the last location of FFFH. No problem. Okay. Now we can also make use of two registers, is R0 and R1, to access the external memory location. Guess what is the size of this R0 or R1? Each are of 8-bit in size. Correct? Each register of 8-bit in size. If you use R0 and R1, what is the maximum locations it can access? 2 power 8. It is only 256 number of locations. 256 number of locations. Okay. That means what is the maximum data we can store in R0, guys? It is we can store anywhere from 00 to maximum of FFH. Maximum of FFH. Okay. Guys, for example, I'll take one example now. Where to write? I need to write somewhere. Okay, let me. I'll erase this this content. Okay, I need this address, of course. Anyway, I'll write that again. No problem. Okay. So let us say, for example, I'll write the instruction move R0 comma. I'll take maximum number, largest number possible, 8-bit largest number, 0 FFH, for example. Okay, 0 FFH. Okay. Now let us say, for example, if I use the instruction move x a comma at R0. At R0. Since it is X, that means it is accessing the external memory. Which location? The location is, please if you observe, the content of R0 is only FFH. but the size of the external memory address is 16-bit. Size of the external memory address is 16-bit. What does the compiler does is, it will convert the content of R0, which is only 8-bit in size, to 16-bit. How does it do? It will append zeros. That is, it will append zeros in the beginning, and it will take the address content of register either R0 or R1, and it will convert into 16-bit address. It will convert into 16-bit address. 16-bit address. Okay. So somebody is on the line. Okay, here we go. Okay, so now what is the address? This it is 00FFH. Okay, that means the content of R0 can be from 00 to FFH maximum. Minimum is 00, maximum is FFH. That means if we make use of R0 or R1 registers to access external memory, then maximum number of locations we can access is only 256. The first location is always 0000. Why? Because even if you store 00 into R0, okay, it is only 8-bit. It will be converted into 16-bit. When it's converted into 16-bit, somebody is on the line. Okay, yeah. If it is converted into 16-bit, the address will be 0000. Okay, that means the least address that can be address of external memory that can be accessed using R0 or R1 is 0000, and the last location of the maximum range of external memory address which can be accessed using R0 and R1 is 00FFH. Okay, that means the first location is 0000, and the last location the R0 and R1 can access is only 00FFH. 00FFH. Okay, so that means it can access only 256 location, that is R0 and R1. Whereas if you make use of DPTR, DPTR, we can access any location from 0000 up to the last location of FFFH. There's a difference. Okay, that's why generally what we do is we use DPTR for external memory access. We don't use R0 and R1 because limitation. We can access only 256 locations. What is the use? When we can access DPT, all 65,536 location using DPTR. When we can access all locations 65,536 location using DPTR, why to make use of R0 and R1, which using which we can access only 256 locations. Okay, so that's the difference between what you call the instruction that is indirect addressing mode to access external memory using R0 R1, that is somewhere here, this instruction, or using DPTR. Guys, I hope this discussion is okay. I mean, you are clear with the difference of using R0 and R1 to access external memory and using DPTR to access the external memory. Okay, fine. This is about the RAM location. RAM location means it can be internal RAM or it can be external RAM. Okay. Now next is, how do we access ROM location? That is, what you call code memory, code space. So we have understood that it is a code space. That means both the data and instructions are stored together in the ROM memory, code space. Okay. To access code space, we can make use of the instruction movec instruction. Movec. Okay. The syntax is standard and fixed. Using either a DPTR or a PC, that is indexed addressing mode. This we have discussed in detail in indexed addressing mode. If there is a recording of this, and in case if you have any doubt, you can see the recording. In case if it is there, because few classes have not taken the recording. If it is available, guys, you can go through that. No problem. Okay, here we go. Okay, so to access means to read the data from the ROM memory, either internal ROM memory or external ROM memory. We use the instruction movec instruction. But to store data into ROM memory, guys, this arrow is confusing. If you see this arrow, it's not confusing. What is the purpose? What is the meaning of author is to access ROM memory. Okay, to access, this arrow indicates access. We make use of DPTR and accumulator or PC and accumulator, because DPTR and PC are both 16-bit in size. Both are 16-bit in size. Okay, so that's the meaning of author. Okay, access. This arrow indicates access. Okay, but here moves instruction is used to read the data from the internal from the ROM memory. How to load the data into ROM memory? How to load data? How do we load the data? What kind of data that is? For example, lookup table, for example. Okay. For that, we make use of assembler directive called as DB, define byte. That I don't know whether today it is possible to discuss. If not today, in the next class we'll discuss. Okay, as a part of the data transfer instructions. Is this okay, guys? Okay, this is not okay. With the define byte we have not discussed, so it cannot be okay. But I'll come back to this. So then this part of the diagram will be more clear. Okay. Is this okay, guys? I mean, okay. Now next question is internal and external ROM. Why it is so? Why not? Why not it is separate ROM memory? Okay. I think that okay. Let us understand that also. Let us not keep it incomplete discussion. I'll go back to this that part of the discussion. I'll erase all this. Okay. Yes, ROM memory. Okay. ROM memory. How do we access ROM memory? Using PC program counter. What is the size of program counter? 16-bit. What is the maximum number of locations we can access? 2 power 16, that is 65,536. In terms of kilobyte, we can write it as 64 kilobytes. We can write it as 64 kilobytes because 1 byte is equal to 1024 bits. 1010. Sorry, in this mouse, okay. 1024 bits, correct? That is 1 byte. Sorry, 1 kilobyte. I'm sorry, not 1 byte. 1 byte is 8-bit. 1 kilobyte is 1024 number of bits. 1024 bits. Okay, fine. Yes, now thereby, okay. But if you go for practical, microcontrollers, 8051 microcontrollers, they will not accommodate 64 kilobytes of internal ROM memory. They'll go only for 4 kilobyte of internal ROM memory. 4 kilobyte of internal ROM memory. Okay. Now, but when we write the program, what happens is that we say, okay. So, okay. Now, if I write the program, let us say, for example, just a second. I'll write the ROM memory here in this space, in this very limited. Okay. Let me move this on this side this time. Okay. Yeah. Here we go. I don't have any other option in it. Okay. Here we go. This. Okay. Let us say this is the ROM memory. Generally ROM. Let's call it as the internal ROM memory, for example. Okay. Now the size of internal ROM memory, for example, let us say 4 kilobytes. The manufacturer has provided only 4 kilobytes. Why it is so? Why not 64 kilobytes? Because it is very expensive. That's why it's not expensive, but it is very space consuming. So that's why they'll restrict only to 4 kilobytes of ROM memory. Okay, if it is 4 kilobytes of ROM memory, then the starting address is always 0000. Okay, and the last address to access the 4 kilobyte of ROM memory is 1FFH. 1FFH. The last location is 1FFH. Okay, fine. Okay, so let us say, for example, I'm writing the program. I'm trying to access a location which is above this memory, above this location. Above this location. Let us say, for example, I'll take the location as 2FFH, for example. 2FFH. Okay, which is not within this memory. It is not located within memory. Okay, then what does the microcontroller does is, if the location is behind how do you pronounce this? Behind this address, okay, then the microcontroller will automatically jump to external ROM memory. It will automatically jump to external ROM memory. Okay, in this external ROM memory, it will access the location whose address is 2FFH. Okay, so thereby, to summarize the diagram, the picture will be something like this. Let me write the complete overall picture. Somebody is on the line. Okay. 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 Let me write the picture. Actual picture will be something like this. ROM memory. Okay. Okay. Something like this. Okay. So internal ROM memory is only 4 kilobytes. Internal ROM memory is only 4 kilobytes and 4 kilobyte, and external ROM memory is left out space. Okay, that is 60 kilobytes. In fact, it's actually 64 kilobytes, but that is divided into ROM memory and RAM memory. Generally, let us take it as 64 kilobytes, no problem. 64 kilobytes. Okay, so if the microcontroller 8051, if it is accessing the location within one FFFFH, that is the first address is 0000, and the last address of internal ROM memory is on 1FFFH. 1FFFH. Okay, so then if the address is within this range, 8051 will access the internal ROM space, which is part of the microcontroller, which is available inside the microcontroller. If the address accessed by the 8051 microcontroller is above this address, that is address starting from 2000H up to the last location of FFFH, then the microcontroller will automatically jump to external memory. So this is external memory, external ROM space, external ROM space. Okay, so that's why this diagram is shown as a single block in this diagram. It is shown as a single block. Sorry, I need to. Okay, I don't know why this box is coming. Okay, so this diagram, what we saw now. Okay, there is internal ROM memory of 4 kilobytes and external ROM memory, which is actually 64 kilobytes, which comprises of the complete 65,536 locations. It's shown as a single block as internal and external ROM space. Yes, you understood this? Otherwise, otherwise they could have shown separate block. Not that they don't know how to show this, but they could have shown as a separate block. One as a only internal ROM space, and another as a external ROM space. Another as a external ROM space. It is not so because of the limited internal ROM space. External ROM space is also sometimes used by the microcontroller. That's why it is shown like this. Is okay? Is this a concept okay?
Sir?
Yes.
This external ROM memory is physically connected?
Yes.
So it is not present in the microcontroller.
No, it's not part of the 8051 IC. Okay, so that is, I'll show you. Let me quickly go to the browser just to see the because when you say IC, something should come to our mind. If you see the diagram, this is IC. This we have seen, I think, in the earlier class. So this is this is made on a silicon wafer. Okay, this is something like this. I need to erase. Okay, I'll not erase. So I'll erase this part of the screen. Okay, this part of the screen. Okay, yes. What is silicon wafer? Is there is which is used to manufacture the integrated circuits. Okay, as the name suggests, integrated circuit means all the circuit components are placed on a single silicon wafer. It is a silicon wafer. Silicon wafer. Okay. On this single silicon wafer, all the components are placed. Like for example, ALU, oscillatory circuits, okay, and ROM memory, okay, and let us say RAM memory and other components. There are many components. Let us not go in detail to this IC component. All this is placed as a single IC. So this is the form of the IC. Okay, it looks something like this. It is an IC. This external memory, what we discussed now, this part of the external memory, this part, what we have, this part. This is, for example, if this is 8051 microcontroller, this memory, 64 kilobyte memory, is the external IC, is another IC, memory IC, is a memory IC, which is connected to 8051 using port 0 and port 2, using port 0 and port 2, using port 0 and port 2. Okay, it is a physical IC. Okay, but what happens is, when most of our 8051 based applications, we don't require a very large memory. See, this 4 kilobytes of memory is too much for us. We'll have a lot of space left. You can fit the complete world inside this. We don't use much space. We use only, let us say we write 100 line of code, then also this 4 kilobyte is sufficient. So we don't jump to this location. So that's why, but sometimes, if the application is really complex, then external memory IC is required. Okay, Lama? Is that discussion okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay, but that external interfacing part I'll show you later. I don't want to go into detail of interfacing at this point, because it should not be too confusing. That's why I'm avoiding that part of the discussion. That is external memory interfacing. Okay. Yes, I think this part, this picture is somewhat okay, somewhat clear. Next is next type of data transfer instruction is push instruction and pop instruction. Okay. Yes, let us understand this. Let us jump to the compiler so that we can run the program and we can see. Okay. So I'll copy this program, guys. Because okay, this 9 lines I'll copy so that I'll run the same lines. Typing the program takes time, so it's always. Okay, I got all the lines. Okay, fine. This is what we are doing in this program. Let us try to understand. Okay, of course the comments are given. Okay, we'll look into the comments, no problem. Okay, first what we are doing is in the first 3 lines. Okay, yes, by the way, for what purpose we use push and pop instruction is push instruction is used to load or store data onto store data onto the top of stack memory. Data on top of stack memory. Okay. Similarly, a pop instruction is used to retrieve the data from stack memory. Retrieve. I'm just extremely sorry for my nose. See, it is not able to write it properly. Pop instruction is used to retrieve the data from top of stack memory. How does it work? Let us see now. Let us execute and see. Okay. So what we are doing is first we are taking 3 bytes of data. Y3, Y02, Y04, and it's easy to. I mean. The concept should be clear. Okay, we can take 2 bytes of data. That's also okay. In the first 3 lines, we are loading some data 25H, 12H, and F3H into 3 registers R6, R1, and R4. You can take any other register. This is just for the discussion purpose. Okay. In the next 3 lines, what we do is we load the content of R6, R1, R4 onto the top of stack memory. Using the instruction push instruction. Push 6. 6 means address 06. Address 06 corresponds to register R6. Similarly, 1 corresponds to 0. We see, even if we write only 1. See, for example, in the program we write only 1. Compiler, what it does, it will convert into 8-bit data. There is 8-bit address, there is 01. 01 corresponds to register R1. Similarly, 4. 4 means 04. It will convert into 04H. Okay, all these are hexadecimal guys. Compiler will automatically convert into hexadecimal. 04H corresponds to register R4. Okay, because push instruction sometimes it depends on the compiler. If you say the question here is why can't we say push R6? This should have been more easy for us, but sometimes compiler does not support name of the register part of the instruction, part of the push instruction. It expect address like 06, something like that. Okay, so that's the reason why we are using address of the registers. As in the last 3 instruction, what we are doing is we're trying to retrieve the data which was stored on top of stack memory using the pop instruction. Okay, and destination is the same registers. We'll use some other registers. Just to understand. Understand more clearly. Okay, yes. To make it even more simple, I'll take the registers as R0, R1, R2, so that while retrieving, we can take it as some other registers. We'll store into stack memory, but we'll retrieve into some other registers. Okay. Yes, what should be this push address now? It should be 0, 1, and right? Pop instruction. Let us pop into some other registers. Let us say 4. There is a register R4, register R5, and register R6. To make it simple, I believe it is simple. Let us say, okay. Okay. Yes, I modified the program. What is the first step is save the source code. Right click on source code, build target, check for syntax error. There are many errors, errors will teach us. Oh yeah, because what is error is this, this comment. Okay, comment is an error. Okay, let us comment it out. That's why compiler says it needs to be commented out. The comment is not necessary. Okay, anyway, let us comment. No problem. Okay. Double / is a comment in assembly language program. Okay, fine. save the file, right click on source code, build target. Okay, here we go. Okay, errors are zero, no issues. There is nothing to generate error anyway. It's not even a what you call professional code, no problem. Okay, what is the next step is debug start session. Debug start session. Okay, so what we have done is we have loaded some data into register. Let me take data memory so that we'll understand why data memory, that is include RAM space. Address is 0x00 to start with. Okay, so when I run the program, guys, I'll run stepwise execution. So stepwise execution helps in understanding the sequence of execution of the program. Okay, so for step execution, guys, it is like this: F11 step execution, which I press F11 on my keyboard, which you definitely can't see, but observe these registers. Okay, please observe this location, this region of the register window. Okay, for every execution of the instruction. Okay, so I'll start with the first instruction, F11. Of course, F11 I cannot start with the execution of this instruction using F11, not possible. It will always start from the first instruction. Here we go. Okay, so when the first instruction is executed, what happens is 25H is copied into register R0. Very simple. This is just a move instruction, normal data transfer instruction. Next execution. Okay, next is 12H is copied into register R1, is expected, correct. 12H is straight away copied into register R1. It was expected, no problem. Next should be that F3 is copied into register R3. That's also okay. This is also expected. Okay, register R2. Okay, let's observe this now. Next, what we have to observe is, of course, the same thing you can see here also. 25, 12, and F3 is copied into register R0, R1, and R2. Okay, that's fine. That's okay. That's not a problem. Now, next is, guys, observe this. From where the stack memory start is in the internal RAM space. Okay, stack pointer. That is to monitor the stack memory. The microcontroller makes use of special function register called as stack pointer. Initial value of stack pointer is okay. What is the address of stack pointer, guys? If you see the as I'll show you. 81H actually, I remember it as 81H, but I'll show you guys the because we may not remember all the address. I teach the course from past 8-10 years, I remember, but okay. So if you see this diagram, guys, the byte address of stack pointer is 81H. Byte address of stack pointer is 81H. Okay, so thereby what we do is we'll go to the compiler, we'll open one more memory window. There we'll take the address as B colon 0x81H. Please observe this. I'm just now started the execution of the program. Initial content of stack pointer is 07H. Okay, that means it is pointing to the location 07H. When push instruction is executed, what happens is stack pointer is incremented by one value. That means it is 7 plus 1, which is equal to 8. And 8 means it will point to the next location, that is 08H. Into this location, the data from register R0. What is the data in register R0? 25H. 25H will be copied into the location 08H. Okay, fine. That's why in this memory window, I'll take the location as 08 so that we can understand the transfer of first byte of data. Okay, let us come back to the program. I'll press F11, that is step execution. Okay, yes. Did you observe this? First push instruction is executed. Push 0. 0 means the register content of register R0. Okay, content of register R0 is 25H. It is copied into the location 08H, that you can observe here also. Okay, it is copied into the location 08H. Let us continue the execution of the program. Next is push 1. That means what should happen is the content of register R1, which is what is that case? 12H. It's totally worried. I think 12H. No, 12H will be copied into the next location. There is 09H. Okay, so 12 in the 08H we have 25H. In the next location there is 09. The data will be 12H. Okay, so let us execute the program. F11 on the keyboard. So we observed that 12H is copied. Let me erase this. It is not clear. So 12H is copied into location 09H. location 09H. Okay. In fact, stack pointer address also you can see here. Okay. Stack pointer, each time when we execute push instruction, stack pointer is incrementing by one value. Stack pointer is incrementing by one value. Next execution, we have to observe three locations, two locations at least. One is this stack pointer content, another is this location content. Okay. So next execution, next instruction execution F11, we observe that a stack pointer is incremented by one value, and to this location there is location 0AH. Location is 0AH, which is pointed by the stack pointer, to this location, the content of register R2, that is F3H, is copied to this location. Yes, it is only F3H is copied, not 0F3. Why? Because in the last class, we have understood that compiler, even if the data is 0F3H, it will take only the lower 8-bit data, not the upper 8-bit data. It will consider only lower 8-bit data. Okay. Because next, what we are doing in the next part of the program is in the stack memory. I think I can take another color. Okay. So in the stack memory, we have 3 bytes of data. F3 at 0AH, 12H at 09H, 25H at 08H. Okay. What we do in the next 3 lines of our code is retrieve this data into the registers R4, R5, and R6. I think let me erase this. This is just for our discussion purpose. I'll erase this part of the diagram. Okay, so the content of 0AH, that is top of the stack memory. 0AH means top of the stack memory, will be copied into register R4, and 09 will be copied into register R5, I think, yeah, R5, and 08 will be copied into register R6. Yes, for this, you observe this part of the register window, guys. Observe this part of the register window, that is R4, R5, and R6 as I execute the program. Okay, observe the program, guys. See, this double R indicates the next instruction to be executed by the microcontroller. That means to this location the microcontroller is pointing. That is PC, program counter. Program counter is pointing to this instruction, which is going to be executed by the microcontroller. Okay, I'll execute this instruction using F11 instruction. Next, you could observe that the top of stack memory, which is equal to F3H, the data is F3H, is now copied into the location register R4, F3H. Okay, we'll continue the execution of the program. Next is 12H. 12H is copied into register R5, register R5. Next line of execution. Okay, there is 25H. There is, see, when byte by byte it is copied, the top, see, when the first byte is copied, stack pointer is decremented by one value. Please observe this. Stack pointer is also decremented. It was initially 0AH. It was decremented by one value. It becomes 09. It decremented by one value. It becomes 08H. Okay. As stack pointer is decrementing, the location to which stack pointer is pointing is the top location of the stack memory. Now, where stack pointer is pointing is 07H. Okay. Now, 07 is the top location of the stack memory. Wherever stack pointer is pointing, that is the top location of the stack memory. Okay. So in this program, we have used push and pop instruction, which is part of the data transfer instruction, where we have transferred 3 bytes of data, which is the content of register, 3 registers, onto the top of stack memory, and we have retrieved the data from the top of stack memory to internal registers. Okay, so that's how the stack memory works. Very simple. Okay, now what we have to check is how to provide, say, what are the other arguments we can give to push and pop instruction. Okay, instead of address, can we provide something else, like register? Okay, let us see. Let us check that also. Okay, so now let's say instead of push R0, I'll say push R0, for example. Let us see what happens. Okay, it is actually, let's say, logically same. Logically, it is not too different, but compiler, let us see what compiler says. Save each time you change the source code, save the source code, right click on the source code, build target. Compiler has an error. It says expression type does not match. Okay, it will not say what is the problem. It's suspense. We have to find out. Compiler expects us to find out. It could have explained, that you're using some register in the push instruction. As part of the push instruction, don't use a register, use the address, but it will keep it as a suspense. Okay, so we have to find out which is the what is the mistake. Mistake is in the line number 6. Line number 6, there is an error. It says expression type does not match. Okay, that means push instruction takes only direct addressing mode, that is address part of the instruction. It will not take register, or it will not take that is the indirect addressing mode, or it will not take anything else. It will take only there is direct addressing mode. Immediate addressing mode does not make sense for a push instruction. Immediate there is the data part of the instruction does not make sense. Okay, we can try that also. Let us see immediate addressing mode. I never tried immediate addressing mode as part of the push instruction. Let us see. Surprisingly, if it works, then I need to change my I need to update. Okay, save the file. Each time you change the source code, save the file, right click on the source file, build target. Okay, same problem. Expression type does not match. On the same line number 6. That's what it does not take anything other than address. It does not expect anything other than the address. Okay, guys, is that okay? The push and pop instruction is, of course, this we had discussed in little detail as part of our indirect this diagrams, as part of the stack memory operation. I think I didn't execute the program then. Okay, I didn't get the time then, but okay, anyway, so we have to discuss in detail now. I hope things are clear. Okay, so that is the push and pop instruction. We are left with 2 more type of exchange instructions. Exchange instruction. This is very simple, guys. I'll execute all this instruction in one go. Okay, let us execute all this instruction once for all. I'll take only 5 minutes, guys. I'll execute all this so that we'll understand. Okay, XCH. Okay, so I'll erase these programs so that let us run the program. Let's say XCH. This what is the instruction is A comma R3. So for that I need to take some data into A comma R3. I need some data in R3. Move R3 comma some data, guys. Take some data. Any data is okay. 06. Okay. Exchange. Next exchange. Okay, so exchange means I need data in both the accumulator as well as R3. Okay, move A comma hash 09H. So I need data in both the accumulator as well as R3. Okay, accumulator now contains 09H data, and the register R3 contains R3 06H. Okay, after the execution of this instruction, these two data should be exchanged. That is the idea. Okay, so let us run the program. So save the file, right click on the source file, build target. Okay, errors are 0. Debug start session. Next step is debug run. Okay, let's observe these two. Okay, this is GUI. Okay, correct. Okay, no problem. Okay, we need to observe the 2 locations. One is accumulator and the other is the register R3. Okay, but this what happens, it will show direct result. What I do is I'll step execute. That means I'll press F11 on my keyboard. Okay, first instruction, I will copy the 06H into R3. It will copy 06H into R3. Okay, next instruction execution, it will copy 09 to accumulator. Next instruction, that is XCH. Okay, we can see that content of accumulator was 09, content of R3 was 06H. Now both are exchanged. Okay, so content of accumulator becomes 06H and content of R3 is 09H. That's very simple. This is very simple. Okay, so for this instruction, the other possibilities are it can be registers also. You can see it can be one of them should be accumulator. There is a compiler specific. It can be register addressing mode. I'm sorry. Register indirect addressing mode, or it can be direct addressing mode. That means one of the data can be pointed by register R1 or R0. Another possibility is that data can be available in 54H. Okay, that means something like this. Okay, So instead of R3, we can say 54H. Very simple. Okay, one of the data is in 54H, and another data is in accumulator. So this becomes 54H. Okay, but the only problem is for XCH instruction, it cannot be immediate addressing mode. Okay, that also we'll check now quickly, because if it is immediate addressing mode, compiler has a problem. Build target, compiler has a issue. Okay, expression does not match. It's not possible. Okay, only these three types are possible. Okay, only these three types are possible. Okay, next is XCHD. Okay, just 2 more minutes. If possible, I'll execute this XCHD instruction. So for XCHD instruction, remember, it is only indirect addressing mode is possible. Can be used. We cannot use any other possibility. That also we'll check quickly. Yes, I think if this is the XCHD, A comma, the two, it should be R0 or R1, correct? No? It should be either R0 or R1. It cannot be R2 also. At R0, at R2, compiler has a issue. Okay, XCHD. First we have to take something into R0. R0. So in that location we have to. This is, let us say, 06H. So in that location we have to have some data. Okay, move or that is 06H hash 0FH. Yes, I'll tell you what I'm doing actually. That's the thing, it is getting late. Okay. Yes. And accumulator is F0, 0FH, and this is F0. Okay. Fine. Yes. What I'm trying to do is I'm taking a location 06H, memory location. In that I'm storing 0FH. Okay. In the accumulator, data is F0H. Okay, what XCHD instruction says is the lower 4 bits are exchanged. Okay, after the execution of the program, the content of accumulator, content of 06H should be. I can use another color. Let's, I think. Okay, you're getting late. Okay, 06H should. Okay, yes. Let us not hurry. Okay, we are getting late to the next class. I'll continue this in the next class. It's no problem. In a hurry to complete. Okay, in the next class I'll complete this. Okay. Yes. Thanks for joining. Stay home. Stay safe. See you in the next class. Bye.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, sir.